All right, his name is Casey Coulthard. Or is it Coulthard? Not sure. But he's an anti-Kyle and a really arrogant one. He claims that we Kyle supporters don't know what we're talking about. We're liars. We're deluded. Well, we'll find out here in a moment. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
Now, I have challenged this man to a debate. A little more about that later.
I saw somebody's tweet, and it kind of caught my eye, and they were basically just saying, hey, can we try to trend heroes and not losers? And it was a police officer who I believe died in the line of duty, and they thought maybe these are the people that should be trending on Twitter, not, losers like Kyle Rittenhouse. And that's all it was. It was just a shout out. It was not one of these videos that are doing. And somebody really, really went off. And this is the thing, I'm not gonna, because I'm pretty sure he commented on it. It's going in the news one. I might put it in there just for that other guy. But I told him, because I wasn't gonna just argue with an idiot in the comments. And I want to be completely upfront on this. He was respectful. All the comments I've got, the people have been decent respect. I haven't gotten anything that really offended me or anything like that. Some of these people, they all seem like nice people. I think a lot of them are delusional. But they all seemed like really nice people. They really did. They were, one of them, maybe were not that educated. I'm not a rocket science either, but some of them didn't seem like they were overly educated. Some of them did. I don't know if they're being dishonest, if they're, purposely blind to the truth, or if they just, if there's something wrong. I don't know. And if you ever followed Richard Dawkins, he made a comment on that, and this would be for your religious nuts, but he was talking about these people that think the earth is only like 6,000 years old or whatever because of the Bible. And he talked about how old the earth actually is, and there's evidence for this. And I think, and he basically said that for you to think that it's only 6,000, he goes, this is a pretty sizable gap from the truth. And he was just talking about how he didn't really understand how a brain could dysfunction that much. And that's where I'm at. I used to argue with these people, and I was a lot more of a dick because I honestly believed people could not be this fucking stupid. I sincerely was. I did not believe people could be this stupid.
All right, let's go ahead and kick in here. First of all, the notion that Kyle Rittenhouse supporters are like these creationists that believe the earth is only 10,000 years old. Are you kidding me? We all watched the video of what happened. All 12 jurors saw the video, and all 12 said, yeah, this is clearly self-defense. How can you compare that to a belief that the earth is only 10,000 years old? So you see his tactic. Anybody who disagrees with my political opinions, well, they're just stupid and they're not worth my time arguing. So I went into the comment section of this video and said, hey, you want to debate on it? I have over 200 videos on the Kyle Rittenhouse saga. I've had multiple witnesses in the trial on my show. Would you like to debate me one-on-one? And of course, he came back with, oh, there's no point in trying to convince people like you. You're not worth my time. Uh-huh. So that's his argument. His sole basis, his reasoning skill is call people names and then claim that they can't be reasoned with.
And then I actually met some of them and worked with a lot of them when I moved down and had to work in Indiana. And then I'm like, wow, yeah, because I always thought people were just faking it. I really did. But what we're going to talk about here.
Oh, by the way, if you want to go see some real idiocy, how about liberals of TikTok? Those on your side of the political fence. Watch those people sometime.
There is the Kyle Rittenhouse issue. And this guy, and I got a feeling he's along the same people who, during the Obama administration, no matter how much proof you showed them, they just couldn't seem to get their head wrapped around that Hawaii was part of the U.S. and not part of Kenya.
That's right. No matter how many times we show you the video of Kyle being chased by Joseph Rosenbaum, you'll never get it through your thick skull that Joseph Rosenbaum was the aggressor. It's obvious to anybody watching the video, and all 12 jurors agreed, but not you. You can't watch that and get it.
And I think this is the thing. So I'm not going to waste a lot of time. If I've got somebody that is just unwilling to learn or is too stupid to learn,
which essentially means anybody that opposes him. If you go into the comments section of this video, you'll see it. Anytime anybody comes in and says, hey, you made a mistake here, he comes back with the same crap. Well, I just can't reason with you. You'll never get it.
Whether they're, whatever the reason is, I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to convince them. I am completely fine with them being stupid. I really am. I'm just absolutely okay with it.
So we put together a video, make a lot of claims about the innocence or guilt of somebody, and then run to the hills when somebody disagrees or offers a countering opinion or offers evidence to the contrary. The man is a coward. Here's idiot number one. He's a federal prosecutor, and he's absolute proof that they give out law degrees to anybody these days.
So let's talk about this new ruling by the Wisconsin judge presiding over the Kyle Rittenhouse murder case. The judge ruled that the prosecutors cannot refer to the two people Rittenhouse killed and the one he shot who survived, cannot refer to those people as victims.
And for which he has always done. He didn't create this rule for Kyle Rittenhouse. He's always applied it. And guess what? The majority of those that he probably benefited with this type of ruling were on the left, because it's the left that's usually gotten into trouble.
But the judge also ruled that Rittenhouse's defense attorneys can refer to those human beings as rioters, looters, and arsonists.
That's a lie. He never said any such thing. He said that they could if they proved beforehand that they were rioters, looters, and arsonists. That's a big difference. But let's not let that stop us.
Let's talk about that. Because treating everyone in a case fairly, victims and defendant alike, like justice, matters.
That's not how our justice system works. I have no idea where he was in the first year of law school, but under no circumstances can anybody claim that our justice system is designed to treat the accused and witnesses the same. Doesn't happen. The accused is given special protections by our Constitution that witnesses don't get. This isn't like a football game where the referee has to treat both teams the same. The accused in a criminal case is always going to be given more protections than anybody else. That's the foundation of our legal system. The whole presumption of innocence tips the scales toward the accused.
Okay, and that kind of sets it up. This is Glenn Kirshner. He has a podcast, Justice Matters. He has, I think, it's either 25 or 30 years as a federal prosecutor. He did a number of years as a JAG in the Army, that's federal, and he also worked for the Department of Justice.
Wow, credibility must be really important to this guy. I mean, he's rattling off this man's history, his education, his experience. Credibility is paramount. Oh, when it comes to Judge Bruce Schroeder, though, the fact that he's the longest sitting judge in Wisconsin means nothing. I doubt anybody understands Wisconsin law and court procedures better than Judge Bruce Schroeder. Remember, he's been a judge longer in that state than anybody. But to him, that doesn't matter.
And that there right there sets it up. That is one of the big things. And some of this stuff I'm not going to be able to find, and you can either believe it or not. I live in Wisconsin, so this was on a lot of local news. And here's the thing: I got health issues. I may not be remembering it right. I'm just being completely honest. But I watched a lot of this on local news. Well, they don't always put stuff up on YouTube, and I am doing my level best to find some of this stuff. And I've got some of it in print, and I'll just read it. This is going to be a long video, but I really ask you to stick around for it.
All right, he lives in Wisconsin, and he knows what he knows because he watches the local news. I guess he doesn't read the Kenosha County Eye. Kevin Mathewson has covered the Rittenhouse trial probably better than anybody in the state. I don't think it's probably. He has, and I doubt this guy has read a lick of the Kenosha County Eye. He got his information from social media, and of course, we all know they haven't gotten anything right.
But I watched a lot of this on. I live in Wisconsin. I worked for the Department of Justice, and that there right there sets it up. That is one of the big things. And some of this stuff I'm not going to be able to find, and you can either believe it or not. I live in Wisconsin, so this was on a lot of local news. And here's the thing: I got health issues. I may not be remembering it right. I'm just being completely honest. But I watched a lot of this on local news. Well, they don't always put stuff up on YouTube. And I am doing my level best to find some of this stuff. And I've got some of it in print, and I'll just read it. This is going to be a long video, but I really ask you to stick around for it.
Oh, don't worry. We're going to stick around for it. We wouldn't miss this for the world.
Because there's a lot of people out that are lying.
Yeah, we know. Kyle Rittenhouse has been fending off these lies since August 2020, and you were probably one that propagated a lot of it. For example, his mama drove him to the protest. He carried a gun across state lines. Those are lies that have been told over and over again by people like you.
And if we can get the truth out there, it might prevent somebody from doing this again. Like,
you don't care about the truth. You want the kid convicted because you see him as a political opponent. Again, I remind everybody, remember the evidence box, that if he had a box that had the truth and it exonerated Kyle Rittenhouse, how many out there think that he would have ran to the police and gave it up? Oh, hell no. He would have buried it. He's not interested in the truth. He just wanted the kid convicted, whether he was guilty or not. You know it, and I know it, and he knows it as well.
You had these guys; they were domestic terrorists. They overtook federal wildlife preserve when Obama was president.
Oh my God, he's talking about the Bundys. What does this have to do with Kyle Rittenhouse?
And when people started referring to them publicly as terrorists, they didn't like it. And, maybe we can actually stop some of these people. Maybe we can stop the next Kyle Rittenhouse from shooting somebody. If we tell the truth on Kyle Rittenhouse now, if we don't listen to the people out there who don't know what they're talking about, are purposely misleading people on this. And I think that really matters.
Really, tell us exactly what the Kyle Rittenhouse supporters have been saying that is wrong, that is false. What facts have we gotten wrong? When it comes to facts that people like you have gotten wrong, we could go on all night. I already named a couple. I have an entire dumb argument series that discusses the wrong things that people like you make, and it ran up into the 80s. For example, it's illegal for a person to flee the scene of a crime. There's nothing in the law that says any such thing, but people like you went on and said those things over and over and over again. Again, I have over 80 of them.
So he set that up. That's one thing that is an issue. I'm going to try and find some more of these videos because I'd rather let them talk. than have to read it. But the judge made a decision where the defense lawyer could refer to people as rioters, looters, and his victims, the people he shot, as basically criminals. And I don't think any of them had been convicted.
Oh, I see. A person has to be convicted to be called something in a trial if they're only a witness? False. Plainly false. I can give you plenty of examples. In fact, guess what? I'll give you one right now. Randall Volar. He was shot to death by Crystal Kaiser. She took an Uber 45 miles down to his house, partied with the dude, and then shot him in the back of the head. Yes, he was probably a human trafficker. And yes, her safe harbor defense may hold up. But guess what? They're going to be able to call him a sexual trafficker, a rapist. They're going to be able to do that. It's part of her defense. According to your logic, they couldn't. He's dead. He can't defend himself. He hasn't been convicted. It's not going to matter. And I'll explain this to you. The witnesses in a trial do not have the same protections as the accused. Any lawyer knows that. But let's move on.
But yet, they couldn't refer to the people he shot as victims.
Oh, let's see here now. What about Randall Volar? Do you think it'd be okay to call him a victim? If they called him a victim, the same people that are crying about the fact that you couldn't call Gage Grosskreutz a victim are going to have a cow. They're going to be all over the place saying, how dare you call Randall Volar a victim? Wait a minute. What's the argument here? Well, the truth of it is, Randall Volar is not a victim until the jury says he is. That's the same thing for Gage Grosskreutz, Anthony Huber, and Joseph Rosenbaum. They are not victims until the jury says so. And the hypocrisy is going to be all over the place. The very same people, again, I'll say it, the very same people who are complaining about the people that Kyle shot not being able to be called victims are going to go crazy at the notion of Randall Volar being called a victim.
That right there, and he's talking about it, sets an unfair basis for the trial. You're giving a hand up to the defense.
Gee, that's kind of like the way it's supposed to be. Courts do favor the accused. The accused have special protections that nobody else does. That's the way it is in this country. The presumption of innocence itself is a special protection not afforded anybody else but the accused. You want another example? I'll give you one. I can force a witness to get on the stand with a subpoena. I cannot force the accused to do so. Gee, that doesn't sound very fair now, does it? According to your argument, if you can make a witness go up to the stand, you can make the accused go up to the stand. Doesn't work like that. What boggles my mind is that this is first-year law class. This is for all the freshmen that want to be lawyers someday, and they go into Law 101. It's not even 101. That's probably an advanced level class. It'd be Law 2. And they go in there, and that's the first thing they learn. The accused is presumed innocent, and there are special protections in the Constitution to protect their rights. And just because you give the accused a certain right doesn't mean you have to give it to everybody else.
And you are basically stomping on the prosecutor's foot.
Yeah, the presumption of innocence stomps on the prosecutor's foot. Our Fourth Amendment rights from illegal search and seizure stomps on the prosecutor's foot.
And it's not right. It's just not right. I'm going to go ahead and watch this because it's been a while. It's been about 10 months. And I'm going to see if there's anything that I can add in here from his video. Hang on one sec.
No, this guy is quite capable of displaying the idiocy all by himself. He doesn't need your help.
Refer to the people who were killed and injured. You can use those terms in front of the jury over and over again. I guess, what, in the judge's mind, maybe those people needed a good killing, and that's the message we're supposed to send to the jury by saying they're not victims, but they're arsonists and looters and rioters. That is not equal justice.
We are not looking for equal justice. This is not two football teams taking the field where you have to treat both teams the same. The accused is given special protections, but he complains. By the way, you may be wondering, well, why is it that he's so upset about the prosecution not being able to call the people that Kyle shot victims? It's because it prejudices the jury. He's a prosecutor. Of course he wants to be able to use the word victim to imply that the defendant is guilty of a crime. What other reason could there be? Turn off your video for a moment and ponder that. What other reason could there be for a prosecutor to want to call the people that the accused shot victims, other than to imply that the accused is guilty? Given up, huh? Because there is none. He wants to convict. He doesn't give a damn if the other person's innocent. He's a prosecutor. He wants to convict. And why is he so upset about calling the witnesses arsonists and looters? Again, he wants the defendant convicted. It's not hard. If he could find a way to remove a defendant's Fourth Amendment rights, he'd do it. You can't tell me throughout his career that he hasn't tried to get a motion past the judge that he knew was not legitimate.
That is a horrifically biased ruling, in my opinion, in my experience, that makes it look like the judge is trying to stack the deck in Rittenhouse's favor.
The court is trying to stack the deck in Rittenhouse's favor because Rittenhouse is the accused. They are given special protections. We don't want people convicted of a crime unless we're pretty damn sure that they are guilty. Therefore, we put in certain protections for them. The whole notion that it is better to let a guilty man free than to convict an innocent man alone stacks the deck in favor of the defendant. Our court system is built on it. It's the foundation of our legal system, and this man can't figure it out. He thinks that, well, the judge, if he has ruled in favor of the defense a couple of times, well, then he needs to rule in favor of the prosecution a couple of times to make it even. It doesn't work like that. We found that out with Binger. Binger kept doing stupid things, and the judge kept hammering him. He doesn't owe it to Binger to turn around and hammer the defense to level the playing field. Leveling the playing field is not, and I repeat, not a goal of our justice system. But he missed that class, apparently.
That's the way it looks.
So let me give you another example. Your grandma is in her apartment, and a man breaks in, and he's got a knife. And he's threatening to kill your grandma. And she picks up a gun and shoots him in self-defense. Or at least she's claiming it, right? And let's suppose that you look in there and the man has a knife. He doesn't belong in the apartment. They've talked to witnesses. They've said, yeah, he was in there to rob the apartment. Do you really think for a moment that you can't call that man an intruder? This is a claim of self-defense. The man who broke into the house is not on trial. He doesn't get the protections that the accused does. And that is by design. I can't believe this guy doesn't understand this. If Gage Grosskreutz is later tried for pointing his gun at Kyle Rittenhouse, then at that point, you won't be able to call him certain things because he's now the accused and he's given these protections. I cannot understand how in the hell a person gets a Juris Doctorate and doesn't understand the raw fundamentals. It's like a physicist not knowing Newton's second law or E equal to mc squared. And don't get started on the old mass versus rest mass crap.
Okay, now right here, he's gonna talk about it a little bit more, but then he's gonna actually cite a Wisconsin law, a law that judge should have to be following and clearly did not follow. Hang on one sec.
But a judge who says you can't call them victims, but you can use all these dehumanizing, derogatory terms to refer to them?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. You can. Because those witnesses are not on trial. And therefore, they're not afforded the same protections as the accused. I thought that most lawyers would know this.
That's obscene. That is no kind of equal justice. And I know we're living in a post-irony world these days, it seems.
And by the way, equal justice is not the goal of a trial. It's not to be equal. It's to ensure that nobody gets convicted unfairly. It's not designed to make sure that nobody gets acquitted unfairly. It is not even Steven.
But it probably also qualifies as irony. You know why? Because the Wisconsin law has a Crime Victims Bill of Rights. It's section 950.04, and it lists a series of rights that crime victims have.